And my friend Jeff is going to lead us.
Join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing and as always, remember our men and women in the armed forces. And a couple of local folks, young too. Brian Wyant, some of you will know, and Charles Doherty. Thanks. Jeff Moody is here to, he's a scout, as you can see, obviously, from West Point. And he's here to do a report.
Actually, you're supposed to argue something.
Oh, no. That's one thing you won't find here. Sorry. So we welcome you. There was a Boy Scout troop here in Highland Falls. When I was very young, a long time ago, I was a Boy Scout. But over the years, many years since I was a Boy Scout, it was hard to keep going. And so I went to the general in West Point and asked could our boys join their club, not club, scout. And he allowed it. So you have Highland Falls folks? Yeah, see, that's how that all happened, so that's good. That's great, actually. So first on the agenda, I want to welcome some guests. So Dr. Sheboy, Superintendent of Schools, is here. And Councilman Richard Perry is here. We appreciate that. First on the agenda is a public hearing on a local law amending the sign regulations contained in the zoning law and the streets and sidewalk law. So I would like to open that public hearing at this time. And if there's any comments, now would be the time to voice them. And this primarily, if not totally, has to do with the barbershop pole. That's going to change our local code to allow that. So that's the gist of this. Am I correct? Okay. Any public comment? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. At this time, public comment on agenda items. Anyone have any comments on agenda items? Mayor's comments. So I'll do this as brief as I can. So to always help other organizations out with their PR, the school is putting this on March the 14th at the intermediate school at 7 p.m. Very important topic these days. Dr. Sheboy, you have something quick to say about this?
Absolutely.
Would you please come over here?
Certainly. So first off, thank you for highlighting that. Vaping is a problem for our youth today, and for adults as well. I don't think that anybody truly will understand the health risks that it poses. People look at this as an alternative to smoking, yet that's why we've tried to work with the Littman Cancer Center to try to give people more information from the medical professionals. We're doing some outreach with our students.
Can you see this? I'm sorry, go ahead.
With our students, with our faculty, as well as with our community and parents, just to try to get the word out that this is a serious problem. And again, I think that our youth is seeing this as just it's harmless, and they're just flavored waters and things and oils. But I think that the medical professionals might differ on that. 125 years ago, we didn't really think too badly about cigarettes. We gave them to our soldiers when they were in World War I to make them feel better, when help them when you missed home. And then you fast forward that to about 50 years later, and the Surgeon General warns that cigarettes cause cancer. And for the last 50 years after that, we've been fighting a battle against cigarettes, and I think we were winning, especially in schools. We got the message out. we don't know what this vaping is doing to our children, to our adults, and to our communities, so we just wanted to have some professionals come together for a panel discussion.
Good. I hope folks attend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Then,
When is that?
March 14th,
Next Wednesday.
7 o'clock?
at the Mount Everett School.
Okay.
Okay, can you zero in on this? I'm sure most of the folks in the room, especially if you're Irish, like our clerk, were there. She loves when I point her out. The village, from the village board, we take our hats off to the committee. This was the third year, and I can actually remember 2 years ago, it was very small, last year was better, and this year was just outstanding. It was outstanding. It was outstanding. And so, that poster's been made for the committee and for those that attended. And the committee is George Fallon, Michael Donardowicz, Peter Carroll, Danny Malarkey, and Kathy and William Green. So they did the organizing, and I mean, one of the bagpipe groups was from Canada. I don't know how they did that, but they did. They did a great job. So, and we're going to raise the. Things didn't work out the other day during the parade, so this week coming, we're going to raise the Irish flag at Memorial Park. So again, from the board, our hats are off to you, the committee. Next is the banners. This was presented at the village board and the town board. This is just another positive thing that's happening here in the village, amongst beautification and just so many things. You know, of all communities, we should have this. Being next to West Point, and our own parents, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, grandparents, all can be included, if you wish, on a banner. So take advantage. You'll see this here poster on Main Street, almost in every store window. Last Thursday, March 1, as I do whenever there's a situation coming, weather situation, I had a pre-storm meeting downstairs with the highway, the police, and water and wastewater. They're always good. All these storms are different, but we have a template to go over. One of the important ones is to make sure that the drains are uncovered. Roe Park Pond is lowered. We even call up West Point to lower their detention ponds, which we did. I don't think they were going to do that until we reminded them. Aristos property has some lakes that they lowered for us. So that was all very good things to talk about and make sure that they're done. Now, depending on Wednesday's weather, we may have another one tomorrow for the storm that's coming. We don't have one for every storm, but these storms, these nor'easters and hurricanes and, you know, winds, floods, we have them. And they're actually good to have. The day after, we had a damage assessment. And I had gotten reports from all the different departments. Yes, trees had come down. I think we kind of lucked out a little bit. We didn't get as much snow as other communities, which helped because it was wet and heavy. But we did have trees come down. A couple of places there was wires. But all in all, the assessment wasn't bad compared to other areas not that far from here. So just so the community knows, that's what we go through every time there's something coming. Met with the engineer and the village clerk, and Gina, was John there? John Jones and Kevin Hurst. We met with the engineer for the Senior Citizen Center. Still a few items to go. Every time we have a meeting, they're getting less and less items, but really, that doesn't make me that happy because you shouldn't even have to start with a punch list. And after you have the original punch list, that should be the last one. But anyway, just so everyone knows, the village is on that. I went to a program down at O'Neill, put on, I think, by the junior ROTC.
Yes, and the Buffalo Soldiers.
And the Buffalo Soldiers, and it was about the Buffalo Soldiers, and it was a great, a very good learning process for me. I know about the Buffalo Soldiers, but every time I see something, a film or whatever, I learn from it. But the hospitality that you put on to the guests, by the junior ROTC, by your staff, is very good. I'm so impressed. I said to the person sitting next to me, turn around, because we're in the first row, I said, turn around and see how many junior ROTC men, boys and girls, men and women are there. It wasn't that long ago, maybe there were 20. I mean, half the auditorium was filled. And they love wearing that uniform, as they should. What a great bunch of kids. And I know they're young adults. But it was very good, and it was a chance for the young people to learn how to be a better citizen through service to others. The choir was great. You get the best choir, best drama, best band. They really are. My last thing is, and it relates to you, Dr. Shiboy, is a school safety meeting. The supervisor and I, along with Deputy Chief Pierre and Chief Scott, had a briefing down at O'Neill with Dr. Shiboy. I see a great partnership between the two chiefs. That always wasn't, so I appreciate what's going on now. Safety assessment, was said by other people, is very good. And that's attributed to you, Doctor. That's attributed to you. Paying attention to detail. And yes, every situation with safety at a school is different, I guess one might say. But we're ready as best we can. Again, I applaud the great partnership between the two police departments. The safety assessment was rated very good, and I think by the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
By the Sheriff's Department. So, not to kill a word, but outstanding job. And that's why I have asked you to come today, because I think it's important. Yes, we know, but the folks at home have to know, that have children, grandchildren. They're our best, sounds like you're coining things, but that's the future. But that really is the future. They're extremely precious to us. Extremely precious to us. So please take a moment and tell us what you would like to say.
Sure. So first off, thank you, Mr. Mayor, thank you to the village board. I saw Chief Scott around the corner. I could not echo more loudly, more clearly the collaboration that has ensued with the district, the town, and the village, especially law enforcement. We were having the town and the village police come in and do our walkthroughs with us when we would do lockdown drills prior to what happened in Parkland, Florida. It was just something that we felt was valuable, to have an outside set of eyes as we did our drills. It was important to our principals, it was important, obviously, to local law enforcement, and certainly to our school board. Every bit of leadership that you, and credit you gave me, belongs to our school board. It doesn't belong to Frank Shiboy. So,
How about the school board and Dr. Sheep?
okay.
Give me that.
Yeah. So, we brought in the Sheriff's Department because anytime you are so involved in something, sometimes you can overlook your own blemishes. So we wanted somebody from the outside to come in, and the Sheriff's Department does these assessments all the time. The SOG, the Special Operations Group, comes in, and they bring in people who are trained as SWAT and other experts in emergency management, and they come in and give you a look. And they'll tell you things you do good, and then they'll tell you things that you need to improve on. And we knew most of the areas that they were going to tell us that we needed to improve on. And those are things mostly that we can do in the short term. Like hardening entrances to any school is something that we are going to do. Putting somebody on, a monitor from 3 to 7:30 p.m. just gives us somebody else's, that last check when schools shift from being, schools that everybody's locked out of to, let's see, games and contests and concerts and things like that. It changes operations. So we're gonna bring somebody in on that. Reviewing all of our protocols more often with our faculty and our staff. It didn't matter which principal or which building we were in, whether it was in the town of Highlands or in the Village of Island Falls, they were impressed that our principals and that our people in the building knew our protocols, and more than our protocols, knew how, if things weren't perfect, what they would do in the what ifs. What is that redundancy? What is that second level of redundancy if you can't go to this spot or this spot? And as you said aptly, Joe, Mr. Mayor, as you said, every one of these is different, and you do have to think on your feet, and that's one thing that we need to continue as we drill. How do we think on our feet, whether it's in, a lockdown situation or a simple fire or a fire drill? You don't want to fire anywhere, but, or a bear at one of the schools or anything. How do we think on our feet? So we're gonna be working with the town and the village law enforcement on some tabletop drills. Hopefully we'll coordinate with the village and the town, the larger EMS group, and participate. Our guy Tom Fargo is involved in some of these committees that look at how we respond, and maybe see if we can coordinate a larger scale drill within one of the schools so that people can be well versed. We do plan on bringing in the Sheriff's Department, the SOG, to do a training for our faculty so that they all know how to respond. Again, plans are one thing, but you have to be able to operate too. So to think on their feet a little bit. I remember as a principal, we threw wrenches at our faculty and our staff, a younger group of administrators than me at least. How do you respond when this guy can't make the shots? He's not calling the shots anymore. How do you respond, assistant principal? How do you respond, director? So, again, while I would say that our assessment was positive, we have always more work to do, and we will continue to do it. I know that all of our faculty meetings today were centered on it. I know that we will continue, every time you walk by a door, you check it just to make sure that the door is secure. We, since probably before Sandy Hook in this district, and throughout New York State requires 12 emergency drills. They changed a couple of years ago to make 4 of those lockdown drills. So for every school in New York State, 4 of those drills has to be lockdown drills. You can do more, but at least 4. And we do those things. And again, we work with everybody to just bring them on, but we can do more. We're going to continue to do more. We're going to continue to assess. We're going to continue to learn. And our goal, you can't teach children if they don't feel safe, so our goal is to keep our children safe. I will gladly take questions from the village board or from you, Mr. Mayor, or from anybody who happens to be here.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to commend the new leadership at the school. From an emergency management standpoint, the cooperation and knowledge that exists now at the school, it's night and day just in the last 5 years. And I think that's attributable to you and your staff and the board.
Again, I praise the board for encouraging all of this work and all this training. We have a great people in the seats, and it's led by a fantastic board.
So Dr. Chavoy, it was great to hear that you have layers in place, because we all know layers fail.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
It's a Swiss cheese model.
Yes, and I've been in contact with the Sheriff's Department, I was happy to hear that those layers are in place here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're at the West Point School. What grade?
8.
So you probably don't count them, but you also have 4 lockdown drills amongst over and above the fire drills in that, right? You feel good, you feel good about that, right?
Yes, sir.
That there's a plan, yeah, good.
Just for curiosity, I went through some ideas for safety in schools and everything, but one idea that's been coming out a lot is to actually have the classrooms locked.
The classrooms are locked.
They are locked.
Yes, that's a recommendation by
Okay,
all law
very-
enforcement.
Okay.
So we have a couple spots, if you have substitutes, we have to work with our substitutes, we have to
Right.
work on some key situations, but those are things we can work around.
Okay.
But the standard position for a door is locked. Even if I propped it open, standard position should be locked. That way, it's just kick the wedge out the door shuts automatically. All our doors are fire doors, so they have to shut
Right.
automatically. And then slam that wedge that we're not supposed to use according to fire code, slam it up underneath the door, and then barricade the door. That's what the most recent recommendation, and again, Chief Scott's still here? Yeah. He can echo that again, it's, if the door's in that locked position, it's one motion. Kick and close, I'm sorry, John. Kick and close, and the door shuts, and now it's not an easy access room, so.
And do the children have IDs?
They actually don't in most of our buildings. It's a very small school district, so the
Right.
faculty know our kids pretty well. They get IDs from with their photos, but it's not like
Okay.
a swipe ID or anything official.
Right.
It's more like a life touch kind of ID, so.
Mhm.
But other than that, they don't get, and all of our kids from West Point, obviously have military IDs, but,
Right.
so.
Chief, have anything?
No, I'm just gonna echo a little bit what Dr. Chaboy was saying. We have these unfortunate events where you get these mass shootings. There's always gonna be some kind of adjustment or lessons learned, unfortunately. And, you know, the school district overall, they're doing a really good job. It's that repetition. So, you know, we always look to improve things. And right now, we're in a good spot. Just, no one's ever gonna be perfect. There's no perfect plan. So,
Thank you. Thanks for your time last week on all of this, too.
And I just want to give you these here. You can take these with you. It's got some good tips in it. Just, you can review, take them, and
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Absolutely. And again, I do anticipate, we don't have our written report yet from the sheriff's office. They'll give us a written report. Again, those things that we can do immediately, we're gonna do immediately, even if they're not in the report. So, you know, there's just those little things that you can do right away that, moving, you're putting a camera there so we can see that it's Charlie at the door, as opposed to seeing somebody walk down. Training everybody in, I don't want to use the word accosting again, I think I used that at the board meeting, accosting visitors that you don't know. When I was another district, I was walking down the hallway one time in the evening, I had just come in from watching a ball game. So I'm wearing a ball cap, and I certainly wasn't dressed as an assistant superintendent. But from down the hallway, I heard somebody yell at me, "Hey you, where are you going?" We need to put that mindset in people. I was the assistant superintendent, I turned around and she said, "Oh, that's you, Dr. Sheba." Well, that's the mindset. So if you don't see somebody, you have to address them, because that's how we're gonna keep our kids safe. So,
Absolutely.
I think people should know too that Dr. Chaboy, teachers and counselors come to the center the third Wednesday of every month and are always willing to meet with parents and discuss any type of topics that they want. I'll put the board in there too, but that type of leadership is really appreciated by the residents of this village. Thank you.
So I'll end with this, that you already know this, but I need to say, you need anything from us, and I know the relationship between the Chief Perry and Ken Scott with you, and that's worth everything to me, and I'm sure to you. So,
Absolutely, without a doubt, that relationship, which is built over time, and time creates trust,
Right.
those are the things that will keep us all safe.
Right.
So, and I am comforted in knowing that, the chief, I think I mentioned on Thursday, the largest gathering of human beings in the town of
Yes.
Highlands is James Avenue High School. I
Yes.
appreciate that the deputy chief has his patrols,
Yeah.
just pop in there and walk through.
Yeah.
The largest group of residents at any given time, in any spot in Highland Falls, Village Highland Falls, is at the intermediate school. So again, have that patrol be out there, or just walk through the building with
Yeah.
our principals. Just, first off, as community policing, it makes everybody feel very comfortable knowing that everybody has an eye out for our kids. So I appreciate the opportunity to come to the board. I appreciate, Mr. Mayor, you inviting me. I appreciate the community and indulging me in another bit of FaceTime, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And if it's okay, I'll take my leave.
Well, we're kind of hoping you'd stay for the rest of the meeting. It's going to be very informative. You'll like it.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Have a good evening.
Okay, so we'll continue. We have minutes to hopefully approve. The minutes were a regular meeting on February the 20th, 2018. We had two special meetings, one on February 24th and one on February 28th. If we could approve those, would be the time.
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I
Mhm.
think we've got to do them individually because some
You-
members
oh.
were not present.
Okay? So,
However, we watched through the video, so does that
If you weren't
justify?
here.
Okay,
we
okay,
can't.
okay.
that's okay. Okay, that's all right. That's a good point. So we had a regular meeting on February 20th, 2018. Could I have those approved?
Motion to.
Motion by trustee Murphy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Ramus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we had a budget meeting on the 24th of February, 2018. Could I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy. Roll call.
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Abstain.
trustee Ramus,
Abstain.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carried. The last one is the budget meeting on the 28th of February. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, second.
Second.
Trust-
Abstain.
Trustee Howard, is the motion, may I have roll call?
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Abstain.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. And I do know that, for whatever reason, I'm saying this, that trustee Livesey did view they're taped. And so they're on the village website. If anyone wants to watch any meeting that we have, a public meeting, is taped and can do that, and trustee Livesey's up to speed on that. Next, a resolution of adoption of local law 03/2018, amending the sign regulation. It was published in the paper. This is a copy of the ad. You have behind that the law. And I'll read this as quick as I can. So, whereas an introductory local law titled Local Law Amending Sign Regulations contained in the zoning law and the streets and sidewalks law was introduced before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Highland Falls on the 20th of February 2018. Whereas upon notice duly published and posted, a hearing was held on said local law on the 5th of March 2018, whereat public discussion was heard concerning the merits of the said local law, and after hearing from all those present wishing to speak, excuse me, and acknowledging that no written comments have been received by the Board of Trustees, declare the public hearing closed. And whereas the Board of Trustees determines that this was a type 2 action pursuant to regulations implementing the State Environmental Quality Review Act, requiring no further seeker action. Now therefore be it resolved that the introductory local law titled Local Law Amending the Sign Regulations contained in the zoning law and the streets and the sidewalk law of the Village of Highland Falls be and hereby is adopted as local law number 03 of 2018 of the Village of Highland Falls on the 5th of March 2018. If I could have a motion and a roll call.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Ramus, may I have roll call?
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much. I have a letter here addressed to the Chief Kenneth Scott. Please accept this formal notice of my resignation from the position of the Highland Falls Police Department dispatcher effective the 26th of February 2018. And after careful consideration, I had made my decision to resign due to medical reasons. Working for your department has been a wonderful experience, and I am very grateful to have been a part of this department. Sincerely, Linda Bale. It would be appropriate to accept her letter of resignation.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
I'll second.
Trustee Livesey and seconded by trustee Murphy.
With regret. With regret.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Bills and claims for fiscal year 17-18 of $135,597.98. May I have a motion to approve the bills?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Two quick things, and then I'll open this up. I've been asked by many people about the Highland Falls Marina project. It's on the front burner. It's something that this board supports. We hope that, at least the majority, we hope the community does. We don't own it yet. There's still a road to go down. But we've applied for 2 grants, and we have received both of them. The first one we spent, and we're going to be working on the second one soon. So, large project, benefits to the village is a lot. So we look forward on that, going down that road. The last thing I think I have is I would like to name tonight as an administrative assistant to the mayor, and anyone else who wants to use him up here. But at this point, he's, for tonight's purposes, an administrative assistant of James DeSalvo. There's no pay, there's no salary, there's no stipend, there's nothing that he will receive, other than probably headaches that he doesn't have now. Because I have a terrible headache right now, and I'm gonna give it to him. So, it's really bad. So, I make that announcement tonight. Now, board comment, Mr. Howard?
Is he next, the scout before the vote comes?
No, do you wanna ask us anything? Cause he's here as a report, to do a report.
Oh, okay. You don't ask us that? Okay. A couple of weeks ago in the Record, there was an article about opiates and other drugs. And it said immediately, the schools can now do this. And I read it a couple times. And then in another paper I read where people over in Warwick now have citizens groups, and they're starting to get parents together, look at films to discuss what's going on in the community, and working and doing outreach. I strongly suggest that parents have got to take a long, hard look at what's going on and deal with it. It's not up to the schools to do that only. The school from September till now, has set up workshops once a month, medicine cabinet to heroin, raising a child in a changing society, and several other workshops. I dare say if there were 20, that was a lot. I'll say it again. I dare say if there was 20, that's a lot. You can't expect schools to do everything they're supposed to do and then put every single social ill into the buildings and say, by the way, teach kids social skills. Parents can unite and do things. At the center, Mary Jane was there. We had speakers coming in from Orange County to talk about heroin and things of that nature. Maybe 11. Maybe 11. As I said before, Dr. Shaboy, counselors and teachers come down to that center the third Wednesday and are willing to meet with people. As a parent advocate, I work with the CSC. Great job they do. They're developing great programs for families and for children. So I'm urging parents, you need to get together, set up groups, go to nonprofit organizations here in this village and ask, can we use your program? Can we come in with a speaker? Can we do lots of other things? It cannot, nor should it, fall on the educational system in this village. Parents have got to become involved. That was my comment.
Very important. More people have to come out to these types of programs. That's why I'm talking about vaping. I hope folks come out. We know they're concerned about their children, and we're all busy. Believe me, I know that we're all busy, but we have to make time. Merv?
So, I got a couple things, but first and foremost, I'd like the chief to hear this one, because when I first started my position, I was police commissioner of the village of Howland Falls, and something that I've noticed in this community was a lot of speeding, a lot of running through the stop signs. I mentioned it again a couple months ago, especially my concern is a lot of the children that walk around the community. So I just want to run this by to a lot of those people that run the stop signs and do a lot of speeding in the area. So we all know the typical 3-second rule of stopping at a stop sign. We're talking 3 seconds. It's not by law 3 seconds, you're supposed to go to a full stop. But that's only going to take 3 seconds to do that. If you run a stop sign and you get caught by the police doing this, you're going to get 3 points on your driver's license. Probably pay about $300 in fines, plus an increase in your insurance for doing that. To run a stop sign, there's no difference between that and running a red light. This is amazing right here. There are 70,000 car accidents a year with serious injury due to running stop signs and red lights. In 1 year, 5,000 pedestrians are killed walking every year, and around 64,000 people are seriously injured from running through a stop sign or a traffic red light every year. 64,000 people are seriously injured by doing that. Just for note, if you're doing this and you're texting, drinking, and yes, speeding, most likely you're going to face manslaughter charges for doing that. There's no way of getting around it. That's what's going to happen to you. I've noticed in the village of Howland Falls, some of the areas of speeding are Roe Park, Mernge, Church Street, Kleitz, Main Street, and there's many more that this happens. And a lot of people are coming up to me about this because they know it's a concern of mine. Brian is the commissioner of the police department, and we have Chief Ken Scott over there. In my opinion, it's totally out of control, and the police cannot be everywhere to watch this, okay? They cannot be everywhere. And I ask the police department right now, especially in these next couple of months ahead, because we're gonna be going into, a lot of the kids walking, to really watch this. If somebody runs a stop sign, as far as I'm concerned, this is my third time making this announcement, you should be issued a ticket. If you're speeding, you should be issued a ticket. The safety of the children in this community is, I know, this whole board's main concern. And I know it's a lot of the parents out there of these children, their main concerns. I don't know how somebody would explain to a parent, if their child was hit, well, you know what, I ran through the stop sign and I wasn't looking. And I just hit your kid. That's just not gonna work at all. On another line, some of the property maintenance, as we discussed earlier at the last meeting, is a concern of mine in the village. Some of the homes, some of the shops, and I think as we spoke as a board, we're gonna really move forward on this, and I like hearing that. Some of the enhancement that I would like to work on too, and with the board, is, as Joe just mentioned, the mayor, the marina that we're looking at. I see that being great for the village. I see that also as revenue for the village. Right now, what I'm doing is currently looking at for Up at Rowe Park, they have these educational signs. And what they do is they have wildlife, they have fish life, insect life, and there are different signs where perhaps maybe the schools could do a field trip up at Rowe Park. And they have benches and you sit down and you learn about what's out there in the nature. And I think the kids would really, really enjoy that. Talking about the children in the community, for the recreation in the community, we have a lot going on. So I'm gonna run through this list. I spoke to Aaron, so for everybody out there that wants to have their children involved in something, there's a lot of organizations. There's the Cub Scouts. We have a Boy Scout here right now, which can tell you a whole lot more. We have the Brownies, we have the Girl Scouts, you can join those. We have the center, we have the library. And now I'm going to run through some things that we have going on for sign-ups. We have sign-ups for T-ball, coach pitch baseball, coach pitch softball, Little League, ponytail softball, lacrosse clinics. They're going to have something in the community. It's going to be a first time ever, and this is pretty cool. They're going to have a travel team now for girls 13 to 15 for travel softball. That's pretty exciting. They're also going to have travel basketball teams, 2 teams. They're going to have travel soccer teams. They're going to have 1 travel lacrosse team. And this is a huge thing for the kids to be able to do this travel stuff rather than them traveling out to another school that does this or another area. The Easter egg hunt is going to be March 24th at 10 a.m. Make sure you're up there. It's going to start right away. Sign-ups for youth flag football is also going to be taking place. At the center, babysitting course for the youth, 12 years old and over, that's going to be April 15th. Did you know about that?
Yes, I did.
And then the All-Star Games for the basketball are tomorrow. This is at the Howland Falls Intermediate School, which I call the Howland Falls Middle School, and some people still call it the Howland Falls High School. Joe?
I don't think that's funny, Murph.
And that's at
Why
6
is that?
o'clock tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, 8 to 10, and at 7 o'clock, 11 to 13. And that's it. And what? And Little League.
Little,
And Little League.
that'll be sign-ups soon.
Absolutely, Little League too.
When I was a kid, that's all you had. You didn't have all that other stuff.
Huh?
Sacred Heart March Madness.
Sacred Heart March Madness, there's a lot going on. A
Lot
lot going on in
for
the
the
community.
yeah.
And I also know that the 4th of July is getting prepped up and getting all
Yeah,
their
4th
stuff
of July
ready.
meeting this Saturday, 9 o'clock downstairs. Come for a little while, come for the whole thing, whatever. It's our 50th anniversary.
There's a lot
Special.
going on.
And the high school plays this weekend.
The high school plays this weekend, so there's all kind of sports games and activity going on at the West Point Military Academy. So for everybody that's sitting at home saying, I got nothing to do, I don't know about that.
Thank you, Martha.
That's it for me.
That was good. Charlie?
Okay. Well, this community is really blessed with a lot of talent, not only from artists themselves, but from organizers. Cindy Maudlin is in the audience. She really has taken leadership of the Art Walk 2018 and has gotten it off to a tremendous start. We've had some wonderful support from people up here. And I did want to alert the troops that June 9th, probably at 4 p.m., will be the grand opening in Lady Cliff Park of the next Art Walk. And we also have 2 pieces of sculpture by Ed McElroy on an extended or long-term loan. He's just an example of our native talent here. If there are other sculpture artists, we very much want them to apply to be part of the next Art Walk. We want to promote it to our local artists as well as the big names that the curators go out to. So contact Village Hall if you are an artist and are interested in getting an application. The only other thing I want to touch on is we've been talking a lot about property maintenance. That will continue to be a big push with our building department. But I just want to appeal to the general public that now that the snow is melting, there is a lot of litter out on the streets. Again, we have good organizations like Rotary and people who have volunteered to adopt parts of highways that do go out and clean up. But just try to pay attention, be careful if you're holding on to a piece of garbage, get it into the receptacles. Heaven knows we've got a lot of them. It's not a long walk to the next container, so we want a clean spring.
Charlie, and first the board, I'm going to schedule a meeting with the building department. In particular, anything can be brought up, but in particular, the purpose of the meeting will be property maintenance. Because it's bad. You brought that up and it's bad. I wrote it down. I'll schedule a meeting with the board. June 9th is what, a Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay, so you said something about Lady Cliff Park. We have
In the
a ceremony.
afternoon. Yeah, I've talked to
Okay, make sure that
Lady Cliff people,
that there's
they're
no
in the morning.
interruption. Okay. Jim?
Yeah, so just a couple of things, as far as the sewer plant upgrade, the engineer is working on the bid package, we should be getting that pretty soon. And I'll give the board an update on that once we get that and it goes out to bid. Again, I have been talking with the supervisor down there about some creative ways to get rid of a piece of equipment. So if we can do that at no cost to the village, I think that's gonna be a great thing, or at least at a minimum. The electric charging station, that's moving forward. Again, I was in contact with the interim DPW supervisor. He's seen that there are lots of packages, large packages of that unit, and it's down at the DPW garage. So what we're working on right now is, and I spoke with a few local electricians about getting some volunteer time to hook up the electric from the station itself to the pole. Been striking out so far, so if there's any electrician out there that might want to help us out, it would be greatly appreciated. If not, we're going to have to put that out for bid, but it shouldn't be too much. It's a relatively small line that we need to attach. But I'm not an electrician, and I'm not even going to pretend to be one. So we're working on that and moving that forward. Also, I have been looking at some of the algae blooms that we have, and the state has, or is spending $65 million on trying to prevent these harmful algae blooms that pop up. So with spring coming up, if anybody sees an algae bloom, if you don't know what it is, you just go to the DEC's website, and they have a lot of information on it. If you see it, please say something about it. The quicker we can prevent that from happening, the better off we are. Also downstairs, a few meetings ago, I showed some coloring books that have to do with the Hudson River habitat. We're looking for some of the local children to please pick some of these up, color them, get them back to us, put your name on them. We'll have prizes for the best one. We're hoping to get those prizes distributed at the Easter, right? I think we said Easter, right?
I have to check.
Yeah, so Easter's gonna be the deadline.
Yeah,
I'll
I think it
make
was,
the
you're right.
executive decision.
Yeah, good, good.
So if we can get
Yeah,
that back, please, I'll have prizes not only for the children, but the parents as well. That's all I got.
Okay. We need to go into executive session. Any public comment? Yes?
Yep.
So good evening, Jim Odlin from Highland Falls. First, I appreciate the comments related to the Chamber of Commerce activities, the art walk, the banners. But really, I'm speaking to you tonight as a resident. I just happened today to do my income taxes for 2017. And I know you're in the budget mode now. Taxes from 2016 to 2017 for me personally increased. I'm hoping you're looking at minimizing tax increases going into 2018. As we all know, as a result of the federal law that was passed recently, places like the state of New York, where you could have deducted state and local taxes, is being capped. Looking at what my tax burden will be next year, if everything stays exactly the same as it is this year, is a $2,000 hit for me personally. That's if everything stays the same. No increases in taxes, no increases in anything else. And that's a combination of state tax, and that's a combination of local taxes, property taxes, and the like. So I suspect other property owners, if you haven't done your taxes yet, look at the 2018 numbers, and I think you're probably going to see something very, very similar. And I would just ask and implore that as you are looking at the budget, you keep in mind that there is going to be some kind of tax burden on folks as a result of what was passed nationally. And plan on having this conversation with the town, plan on having this conversation with our state representatives. So I know it's more than a Highland Falls, but Highland Falls is a piece of that. So,
Well, we would appreciate it very much if you have those discussions with the state and federal government. We will control the village budget, and we're doing our budget workshops right now, and I can tell you that some of the departments even came in lower than last year. So you don't have to worry about the village of Highland Falls. And we have always, however many years it is, not paid attention to, but adhered to the tax cap. So here you don't have to worry, okay? But we appreciate your comments.
And I appreciate the fact that you're committed to zero tax increase. Because
Whoa,
a tax cap is an increase in taxes.
I'll let you.
A tax cap is an increase in taxes.
Okay.
So we can have more discussions about possible ideas if you're interested. Thank
Anything
you.
else from anyone? Okay, I have a
I just got one thing, for the Boy Scout, I heard you say that they could actually join it up in West Point?
Highland Falls boys, if they want to become a Boy Scout, they join the West Point troop. Your troop, I think we were 25.
Can you come up here a minute?
Yeah,
Come on up here.
we're 25 and now
Just
we're
stand right
23.
here. Your troop, what, 23? And how did they join up there?
Who would they see and see like that?
So you just go to the meeting? Yeah, you go to the meeting and then you get paperwork and then you sign up and turn it back in. And then the troop does the main figuring out saying that you're in Highland Falls, not West Point.
And so you come to a meeting to join. And where are your meetings?
They're held at the Balfour Beatty Center.
Oh, were there offices just past the firehouse? Correct? Okay, okay.
What time? And
It's on Wednesdays from 7 till 8.
Wednesday, 7 to 8. Every Wednesday? No.
Every Wednesday except every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday from 7 in the evening to 8.
They meet more than us.
I can arrange that.
No, no.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, I'll take a motion to go into executive session on personnel.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Motion by trustee Howard, second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. Anytime you want to come back.